Let's return to Jay Dow in Boston with the very latest tonight. Jay.
Well, Tamsin, mile 26 of a marathon is supposed to be a place of relief, not so much carnage, but that's exactly what happened today at 2:50 p.m. Not one, but two explosions went off within 15 seconds of each other. If you've seen the video, it is traumatic and dramatic. You had runners and spectators that were blown to the ground. We had reports of limbs that were torn off. We have at least 3 casualties and 100 injuries. There are a few hospitals here in Boston that are filled with people who were injured. There are tonight police officers that are still roving through Boston trying to figure out how this happened. You still have marathon runners who are talking about what happened. This is a city that cherishes its Boston Marathon, the nation's oldest marathon. This is the 117th year. The holiday here, Patriots Day. Schools are closed.
Switch over to Jay Dow quickly just to find out if there's any activity there, because you're absolutely right, James. The official word we're going to get is from Jay's scene. Jay, what are you hearing where you are?
Well, we're not hearing anything just yet, but here's what we're seeing. A few minutes ago when we were with you, you saw the flurry of emergency response vehicles, both military and police, heading toward the scene. And just a few minutes ago, we saw a few military Humvees returning from the scene. No lights, no sirens, followed by police cars and a silent procession heading back. So we don't know exactly what to make of that. But something I wanted to show you. This is the Boston Herald. And there was an initial page on here that said the stay-at-home order is lifted and the public transportation ban is lifted and residents are ordered to remain vigilant. And that page changed a minute ago. It now says reports of shots fired on Franklin Street in Watertown. Full tactical response underway. Now, why is that important? Because the stay-at-home order was lifted and people started coming out of their homes. And one of those people spoke with James. You had people who had been paying attention to the news all day. They're milling about. And at some point, the question is going to be asked, well, should that order have been lifted? Was it lifted too soon? The question that was asked during the news conference is, well, obviously there was a threat to public safety that prompted law enforcement to put this order into place.
I don't usually look forward to news conferences, but boy, I can't wait for this one. This is going to be the news conference of a lifetime. And
you and a lot of other people, Larry.
One exclamation point. The bigger one is going to happen in back of Jay Dow. Jay, are there signs that they're getting ready to talk?
We don't know, but you know what? Something struck me when I heard and saw the video of the residents cheering as the emergency vehicles came down. You know, it was sort of reminiscent of the feeling that you get at the end of a race, the end of the marathon that was disrupted by so much violence. And you had these residents that were cheering, the end of an ordeal that has lasted for 5 days, Monday through Friday, and they waited, the city waited. Not just Watertown, but Boston waited for an end to all of this. And now, hopefully, this entire community will be able to get some answers. And those answers in the form of a motive. Why did this young man do this? What he's accused of doing. Let's not convict him just yet. Well, what we just heard is that this ended based on the call from a citizen who came outside his home this afternoon and saw movement underneath the tarp of a boat that was in the backyard. He went to the boat, lifted up the tarp, and told police that he saw a young man covered in blood. And at that point, he retreated from the boat. He called 911, and at that point, state police sent up their helicopter. And we heard during the news conference that that helicopter is armed with infrared technology, and using that infrared technology confirmed that the second suspect was inside the boat. Now, the state police say that they tried to communicate and negotiate with the second suspect to come out peacefully. That did not work. Gunfire was exchanged, and the hostage rescue team had to go in and forcefully remove him from the boat and from the scene. At this point, we're told that the second suspect has been taken to an area hospital. He's in serious condition. We do not know the extent of his injuries. We do not know if if the blood that was covering his body, according to the man who saw him, is a result of the shootout that happened this afternoon or of the shootout that occurred last night when he was initially involved in that altercation with police along with his older brother. What we do know is that for this U.S. attorney here in this region, this is when the real work begins.
It must have been difficult for you to be there and not fill up with emotion when that was happening.
Well, this was emotional. You know, Boston is a city that so closely identifies itself with fitness, with the Boston Marathon. My sister has lived in Boston for the last 10 years. Her husband is a Boston native. His parents are Boston born and bred. So I've been coming up to Boston for the last several years, and the city has grown on me. And to see all of these people, how much they adore the marathon. It's an event. You know, there is no school. People take off from work. It's a holiday, Patriots Day. It's an event. And to see the Boston Marathon attacked in the way that it was, with these two explosive devices, it really struck a chord, not just with me, but obviously with the people who live here. It hit home for a lot of people because this is a sacred event. Because today, this involved not just one neighborhood, not just Watertown, but there were several surrounding towns in the entire city of Boston. Boston is just slightly smaller in terms of square miles than Brooklyn. So when you're telling nearly 1 million people total that they have to stay indoors and they're watching this investigation and this manhunt unfold, it's certainly a sigh of relief to know that it's ended, it's done, that they're now going to get some answers, and the next phase of this investigation is going to continue with the U.S. Attorney Carol Ortiz and the prosecution of this suspect who's now in custody.
In the world of technology, size matters, as in the smaller, the better. So how would you know self-professed techie Brian Foster isn't wearing ordinary eyeglasses, but something new from Google called Google Glass?
It's wild. It's great. It's new technology, wearable technology, and it's awesome, man. It's really everything you love about Google, everything you love about computers, is right there. Plus, your hands are free.
In case you haven't already heard, Google Glass features a small optical display that effectively puts a computer in front of your right eye. And GPS navigation up 6th Avenue is just the beginning.
Swipe down on it.
Brian was gracious enough to let us take his Google Glass for a spin during a recent afternoon in the Flatiron District.
I'm recording.
Mind if I give it a whirl?
Not at all, not at all.
For this reporter, taking Glass through its paces, especially its recording capabilities, was worth every minute.
So let's say I'm here in Manhattan, I'm a tourist, or I'm not a tourist, and I'm just curious about the Flatiron building behind me. All I have to do is say, "Okay, Glass, record a video." And I hear the tone in my ear. I turn around, and sure enough, I'm recording the Flatiron building. Okay, Glass.
Glass, still in its explorer or beta phase, is not completely self-sufficient yet. For video conferencing, online travel updates,
Google, stay delicious and Thai,
or even simple Google searches and text messaging, Glass needs to be tethered via Bluetooth to your Android smartphone. Joe Brown is the New York editor for Wired. What impresses you about the potential of Google Glass?
Think about how many times you take your phone out of your pocket to check the time, see if you have any email. The idea behind these wearable technologies, and this includes Google Glass and smartwatches, activity trackers, is that your technology is sort of one step closer to the way that you're already living your life.
But it's the device's camera, which takes still photos and records video, that's generated buzz and concern among eager early adopters and privacy connoisseurs alike. Now let's be clear, Google Glass won't give you X-ray vision, or as Rowdy Roddy Piper discovered in the 1988 John Carpenter cult classic They Live, the ability to see what others cannot. But you can certainly secretly take a picture or record someone on the fly, and if you so choose, share what you've seen with the world.
People who already have this say this is the next evolution of the smartphone, which has a camera. So if you're walking down the street, the expectation is that if you're in a public place, then you might be recorded.
We conducted an unscientific clandestine video surveillance experiment of our own, featuring the driver of that gray SUV. We used an Android smartphone and our extensive spy training from our friends at Langley. Just kidding.
How you doing?
In any case, our subject, who did not want to be shown on TV, did suspect he was being recorded. Now consider the privacy implications in this kind of encounter if we were on private property, let's say in a bathroom, armed not with a smartphone, but with a camera and internet-enabled Google Glass.
So you can also conduct Google searches.
Yeah.
Still, New York Wired editor Joe Brown says this kind of wearable technology is not only familiar, but here to stay.
It's a source of fear and paranoia for some people that they're going to suddenly be recorded without their knowledge. But it's already happening. There are cameras everywhere already. I mean, think about how the Boston bombers were apprehended. Did they know they were being recorded when some stores' closed-circuit TV happened to get a clear enough picture of them in a crowd of thousands?
When the era of Google Glass hits Main Street America in a year or two, all of us will be stealing moments and creating memories, whether you like it or not.
I can say, okay, Glass, take a picture. I got a picture of you. I can say,
you just took a picture
yes,
of me.
Yes. You can also do it with the quick snap of the finger.
We're in what is the east lot of the Garden State Plaza. If anyone is familiar with this mall, the largest mall in New Jersey, it's by the Nordstrom entrance, by the Paparazzi and Joe's restaurant. It seems to be sort of a mobile command center. And if Tom, watch your back, Tom. We got a live truck coming to your back. You can see right in front of us, we have members of one of the local police departments, what looks to be a SWAT team, gearing up to go inside. Now, I'm not sure, Tamsin, what you've already reported before we got on the air, but here's what we're hearing here. People are telling us that at least one gunman wearing body armor and carrying a long gun, possibly an assault rifle, wearing a black helmet or some kind of large helmet covering his face, walked into the mall, possibly at the west end of the mall, and walked through past a couple of movers and apparently and allegedly said to them, "I'm not going to hurt you," and walked through the mall. But things changed when he got in front of the Apple store, which just happens to be past this entrance and about 100 yards up. And people inside the Apple store tell us that the gunman then began firing shots, at least 3 or 4, into the air. They say that he wasn't aiming at anyone in particular, but obviously when everyone heard those shots, panic erupted in the mall. This is a crowded mall 6 days a week. It doesn't matter what time you're coming here, the parking lots are full. You have
All right, it looks like we're having a little bit of problem with Jay's audio there. Looks like we're having a little problem with Jay's audio. Jay, if you can hear me, we want to check back in with you. He is outside of the mall right there in Paramus, New Jersey right now, bringing us up to date.
Tamsin, are you back with us?
We got you. Go ahead.
Are you back with us, Tamsin?
Go ahead,
Tamsin?
Jay.
Okay, so as I was saying, panic erupted in the mall. People started, the store employees started pulling everyone inside the store to clear the common area. There were people who were in the common area who were running, trying to get out. At that point, mall security summoned the police department, and it's not just Paramus. We have several police departments from this area. Bergen County SWAT. I saw several other police departments from the neighboring towns, and if you could pan to your right, you can see some more emergency vehicles coming on what is Route 4 West, and there is an exit for the Garden State Plaza where they'll be getting off and coming into the mall. At this point, we did see at least one police dog going in, and we took that in addition to overhearing a conversation between a woman and a police officer, and a police officer was asking the woman, "Did you see him? Do you know where he went?" And she said no. And then the police officer said, "Come with me." So we're taking those two interactions, seeing the police dog and hearing that conversation, and we're not officially going to say with certainty that there's someone who is still on the loose. Let's step to our right, Tom, as the police officer's trying to come in. Hold on one second, folks. But it's very possible that the police are still looking for someone. When we walked closer to the entrance, we saw a bunch of police officers mobilizing inside the mall, and they were standing at attention and tense. We can tell the difference between a scene that is breaking down where things are over and when things are very active. By no means are we saying that the mall is clear, and by no means are we saying that We have a bunch of people running around inside the mall, but obviously we still have police officers telling us that we need to move back. They're moving everyone, the shoppers who were inside the mall, out of the mall, and we saw at least one police dog going in and SWAT gearing up. So that's what we have right now. And I mean, Tom, turn around and look at this, and look at all these police cars coming in right here. Coming into the scene as if something is still happening. We do not know what, but as they're telling us to move out, we have more police cars and emergency service vehicles coming in. Just to give you an idea of how large this mall is, it is bordered by Route 4 and Route 17. This is probably the busiest retail corridor in northern New Jersey. Again, the largest mall in New Jersey, the Garden State Plaza. It spans at least several acres. We've got several major department stores, every major retail outlet. And again, this is a mall that is busy, bustling from the time it opens at 10 o'clock in the morning to the time it closes down at around 10 o'clock at night. And even then, afterward, you still have a lot of people who are at this mall because there's now a movie theater, an AMC movie theater here. So we're going to break down because the police department is telling us, I don't know what department, but the police officers are telling us that we need to skedaddle and move back. Tell me what you saw and what you heard.
Okay, so I came to the mall, you know, just to get this phone fixed, and the guy who fixed my phone also saw this guy because I was just with him. So I saw 5 guys together. Okay. I noticed them for whatever reason. You know, you're walking through the mall, you notice some people. I didn't think anything of it at all. You know, they were wearing coats. One guy, I remember at least one guy was wearing a double hoodie. And I noticed because I was like, oh, that guy's got 2 hoodies on, like me. Okay, so they just looked determined, whatever. I didn't care. Just kept walking, kept doing my thing. I was exiting the mall. I was at AT&T and, well, yeah, I was exiting the mall and we stopped in AT&T real quick. I mean, is there anything specific you want me to know? Because it's a pretty long, yeah.
Tell it all.
Okay. Okay, so at this point, okay, so the moment we ran into AT&T, right? Because my friend was like, okay, let's go into AT&T. And I was like, dude, I really got to go. And to prove a point, I was like, all right, I'm going to wait out here, right? You know, just go do your thing, go see if you have an upgrade, whatever, and I'll wait right here. So this guy comes around the corner, so sleek, just footsteps, helmet. Looked in my direction. I saw him. I was like, that's the guy that was with the other guys holding the helmet. Except this dude's got an assault rifle in his hand, and I think
you clearly recognized it as an assault rifle.
I was in the U.S. Navy. You know, I know what an assault rifle looks like. You know, I don't know if it was fully automatic or semi-automatic, but this dude shot it. Okay, and he was trying to take out cameras. Okay, and I saw that. I saw him literally shoot it and try to take out cameras. So now the main thing here is he wasn't shooting anybody. Not around me. Maybe he murdered tons of people in there. I don't know. But you know, I didn't see him do any of that. He looked determined. He looked like his motives were very serious. But
it
again,
looked like he knew exactly what he wanted to do.
It wasn't some, you know,
it wasn't random.
It wasn't a killing spree. He would have killed me, literally. He would have sprayed me. It was done, you know. And then after that, the women got scared, and not everyone had a place to run in the back of the store like us. Conveniently, we went to the back of the store. Some people were hiding behind like clothes and shit. I mean, not for nothing, you know, for lack of a better term.
Please watch your language.
Yeah. No, honestly, like. You know, I just thank God that I'm out here right now, and I'm not in there, and I didn't get any shots fired at me. You know.
But let me back up. You saw more than one gunman.
I saw more than one person that was with him, and yeah, there was multiple guns. There was multiple pieces. Again, I say pieces of metal because at the time there was no way. You know, I've seen a gun, and there's no way that I was going to accept that the fact that there was people just holding guns right in front of me at the end of the hallway. You know, and just huddled together, and it was the guys. I'm telling you, there was a motorcycle helmet in this guy, free hand in this one, no gun. I mean, no gun. That was the same exact guy that had a gun later and was shooting.
Okay, so you saw what this man looked like before he put on the helmet. Describe him to me.
Exactly. Okay, so they were all the same. They were all looking like me. You know, I mean, like a lighter brown skin color. Literally could have passed for like some, you know, Italian background, Italian genetics, or Hispanic genetics. I can't really expand more on that. All of them.
Tall, short, facial hair, glasses, anything.
My height, give or take.
About 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah. Literally, like just looking like very, very similar to me in a way. Yeah.
Combat boots? What kind of shoes?
Boots like maybe construction boots. Again, I really don't want to go too into detail because I didn't care about them. And like if I would have known at that moment that those were the guys, you know, that were going to cause all this, I would tell you everything. I would have like, you know, taken a mental picture.
Well, trust me, you're giving us a pretty good account.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. Okay, so is there anything else? Did you like me? Oh, this one kind of trips me out a little bit. All right, so we're in the AT&T store and we come out. Now this is, by we, I mean 3 people. There's like 30 back there. Employees and clients and random people that were in the hallway. So we go out, me and these 3 guys, we're just like checking out, because people are kind of making jokes, kind of like, I gotta get home. And I was like, really, like, I gotta get home, you know, let's see what's going on. So we kind of walk out, creep out a little bit, and then we just don't really see anything. Looks pretty calm. We get all the way to the window of the AT&T store, and we see like some 2 dudes over there. Some guys. They could have been like with the 5 guys. They could have been them. No guns. I didn't see any guns on them because I was looking for guns at this point.
But they looked like they were with the gunman.
They looked like they could have possibly been the guys that were with the gunman, right? So, all right. So at this point, okay. So, oh god, wait, where was I in the story? I'm sorry.
You saw the guys standing over against the wall.
They cut the corner real quick, and then like literally seconds after, like a guy dressed like this right here, like dressed like the security people right here, literally, it may have been him, and literally goes, 2 gunmen, get in the store. So we literally got in the store, and we waited for like another 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. I mean, I don't know why we did the things we did, because we came back out.
How many shots did you hear?
How many shots did I hear or see?
Both.
Okay. See, you were talking about a semi-automatic rifle here. So, I mean, how many rounds came out, but how many trigger pulls? 2 seen, and a shotgun, which is what makes me believe that there's another person. 3 total shotgun shots. And they were not that. They were boom, and then another boom, and then another last boom right after that, right after the second one, and then glass everywhere.
So you were able to differentiate between the sound of a shotgun blast and that assault rifle fire.
Yeah, and I don't think that's just being in the Navy. I think that's like a pretty obvious, pretty evident thing that you would have noticed if you would have been there. It's just one was a boom and the other one was like, you know what I'm saying? One was a loud spray. They were both ridiculously loud.
Did you see anyone hurt or injured?
No, I didn't see anyone hurt, and I did see him shoot the gun again. I did see him, like, he looked in our direction. We were a little bit farther from him than some of the people that he looked at with his helmet. Didn't shoot anybody. Didn't shoot a single person.
Did he ever aim the weapon at someone?
No. Not that I saw.
What kind of helmet?
Black with a visor. Couldn't see his eyes. Or else I would have seen his eyes if it was a clear visor.
A tinted visor.
Tinted visor, black helmet.
Color helmet, black helmet?
Black. His attire was black, yeah.
All black?
Yeah, and like I said, I'm pretty sure he had gloves on too. Some sort of gloves, like maybe climbing gloves, baseball gloves, I don't know.
So at some point, you saw them when they didn't have any of the gloves or the mask or the helmet on, and then they suited up at some point and then started firing.
One suited up again. And when I heard the shotguns, I don't know if there was another guy with a helmet walking around with a shotgun, you know? So that could have been very well happened. But when I did see them, I didn't know it. But now that I look back on it, that was obviously a briefing or some sort of a briefing, and then...
Were they walking toward a specific direction? Were they walking toward Nordstrom? Were they walking toward Macy's?
We went in through Nordstrom. We were at the kiosk where my phone was getting fixed, right by the Apple Store on the first floor. Went up to the Apple Store for a quick second. Went back down to by the kiosk where I was. Cut that corner, and we're by AT&T. So now you know where I was exactly. Okay. So by AT&T in the Apple Store, this is where it all happened. And he was coming down from the Apple Store where he was with his buddies. Coming down, literally the guy that had my phone saw him. He had the helmet on already at that point, and he was already shooting at that point. His semi-automatic rifle, though.
In the air.
I asked the guy who fixed my phone too. I saw him earlier. He said he wasn't shooting anybody. Didn't point the gun at anybody. He was shooting the cameras.
Could you tell where he was headed?
Towards me, because I saw him.
In what direction?
Oh, afterwards? No. Honestly, at that moment, I was so scared. I mean, I had nothing on me to protect myself, and this was completely real. You know, what everyone's worst fear was completely real.
Yeah.
And it was mind-blowing, to say the least.
Say it again?
It was mind-blowing, to say the least. And this is not my first what?
This is not your first time at this mall?
Oh, no, it's not, no.
So you know what this is like here, busy, peaceful?
No, it's a nice area. You got Bergen County, and you got some people from State County that come here. It's honestly a nice area. People just trying to do their shopping. A lot of good people. I've never heard or seen or, ever experienced or anything like this, This is crazy, completely crazy.
Tell me your name again?
Johnny.
Johnny Jimenez?
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Johnny, where are you from?
All right. You heard it. It's a pretty detailed account, Tamsin and Scott.
Yeah, okay, let's recap for people who might just be joining us, because I know there's been a lot of new information that continues to roll in, but you have an eyewitness that seems to have a very clear picture of what he was looking at, what he heard, and where the shooters, I guess, were going as they walked through the mall.
Yeah, and you heard Johnny say that he saw at least 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 people that looked like they might have been in the same group. Definitely one person that was armed and maybe another that had some kind of weapon, but he only saw one person fire and heard 2 different kinds of weapons fired. an assault rifle, and a shotgun. And he thinks it was the shotgun that took out the glass in the atrium in the common area of the plaza. And then after that, all bets are off when you heard Johnny describe chaos as people were running, trying to get to safety, running to the back of whatever store that they were near and locking it if they could.
Jay Zhao joins us in the studio with more on this. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Tams. And sex trafficking is estimated to be a $32 billion criminal industry. And it becomes even more of a problem during the large sporting events, the biggest of them all, the Super Bowl. It's set to kick off in our own backyard with potentially deadly consequences. In the shadows of MetLife Stadium in the Meadowlands, where the NFL's two best teams will duke it out in this year's Super Bowl, law enforcement is already scrambling to neutralize a nasty brew of abuse and exploitation cooked up by sex traffickers. For thousands of young women and underage girls who are forced into a life that amounts to modern-day slavery, the danger is real.
The summer I turned 12, I ran away from home.
It certainly was for 57-year-old Barbara Amaya, and for another, much younger sex trafficking victim who goes by the name Kenya.
It's a whole nother life when you're being trafficked.
It was a dangerous life.
It was a very dangerous life.
Both women, who came from seemingly normal, even prominent families, still carry the trauma from a lost and misguided youth spent on the streets.
She was selling me to clients, and then after several weeks of that with them, they sold me to a man from New York, a trafficker. Not a man, a trafficker from New York.
A pimp.
A pimp.
Traffickers have a way of manipulating, and they mold you to be this person that they want you to be. You understand? So the person that you were before, when you was a little girl at home with your parents or wherever you was at, doesn't exist anymore. That person is not there.
After decades of silence, Barbara has only recently begun to speak openly about her troubled past.
How long did you spend in New York City on the streets?
9 years.
And how did you finally make it out?
Being trafficked. I grew up being trafficked.
Barbara and Kenya's stories will hopefully serve as a cautionary tale for other at-risk preteen girls who help make sex trafficking a multi-billion-dollar criminal industry. And the Super Bowl, according to law enforcement officials, the single largest human trafficking incident in the country.
All I was a dollar sign to him. I know that now. It's all about money, and I was a commodity to him.
In a matter of weeks, this former Girl Scout went from growing up in what she describes as a suburban hell, living with her dysfunctional family in Fairfax, Virginia, to an urban nightmare on the streets of 1970s New York City.
I became heavily addicted to heroin. Heavily.
Into what's often referred to as the life, the property of a pimp.
He would beat me up, drag me back, beat me up, search me out all over Manhattan, throw me downstairs, beat me with wire coat hangers.